Hello, friends. My name is Steve Hall, and I am the co-founder and vice president of Spectrum Environmental Solutions, and I lead up the monitoring team and have been working in the semiconductor industry as well as many other industries for almost 30 years now. Well, actually well over 30 years. So back around 2013, EPA promulgated the greenhouse gas reporting rule, and I'm here to talk specifically about its impact on the semiconductor industry. So after going back and forth, during the rule development phase, which myself and a fair amount of my colleagues were involved in, EPA landed on these rules that said that semiconductor industry had to report their greenhouse gas emissions on an annual basis based off of some default destruction or removal efficiency, or DRE efficiencies, of their burn wet point of use abatement devices, or they could actually measure those if they so choose. Most of the industry has gone ahead and reported based off of calculation and use the default values. However, there is an option to go ahead and measure the destruction and removal efficiency of the abatement devices if you feel that they are better than what they were 10 years ago. And that's a big deal because a lot of the technology has come along quite a bit, and I think a lot of the vendors of the point of use abatement devices have improved such that you may be better than the default values. And that's kind of a low-hanging fruit to show that you are on your path to lowering your greenhouse gas emissions. And lately, in the last couple of years, that's been somewhat of a movement in the industry, and I think that is driven by, the larger companies want to lead the way and be good environmental stewards. They want to show to their consumers that they're making progress through lowering their GWP output. For the smaller semiconductor manufacturers, it might be related to their venture capitalists are requiring it. So everyone has a certain goal to be carbon neutral by a certain year. Some of them are 2030, I think, some are 2050. Each company is slightly different, but they're all moving in that direction. And one of the low-hanging fruits is to actually do measurements of the greenhouse gases as opposed to taking the default value. So that's just one part of it. You can do that and recategorize your DRE for specific compounds based on measurements of your point of use abatement devices. And there's a EPA method for doing that. There is also written in the rule, Subpart I, an option to do end-of-pipe measurements for greenhouse gases. And that is where you would measure each individual stack or stack system for your greenhouse gases and then relate that to the consumption of your facility during the time of those measurements, and you would come up with an emission factor for greenhouse gases. So Spectrum has been involved in almost every aspect of the rule development to the current day. Myself and some of my colleagues that work here are very involved with the semiconductor industry and having done these types of measurements time and time again. From the rule making, where we were out there doing DRE measurements. We worked with Semiconductor Industry Association, or SIA, to help provide language to EPA, and I'm quite flattered that some of the language that I wrote is in there verbatim in the rule. We are a company that goes out and does discrete projects, and we'll go through some of the fleet of your point of use abatement devices and do the specific required DRE measurements, or we can do the end-of-pipe measurements. Spectrum Environmental Solutions also develops instrumentation that is very good at measuring these greenhouse gases at very low levels. If you just think about why a greenhouse gas is a greenhouse gas, well, it has the ability to absorb infrared radiation very strongly, and it also stays in our environment for thousands and thousands of years. We make Fourier transform infrared spectrometers that use infrared radiation, so we can detect these compounds at very low levels. And in the Subpart I rule, if you're going to do end-of-pipe measurements, some of those levels are at single-digit ppb levels, and we can detect those very easily. And we have done that for some of our clients in the past. We offer this as a service that we can come out and do that, or we also offer a sale of a device, and we can train you on how to run the devices themselves.